Rennie Harris, his work. Um, I was not expecting it, actually. It just, when it started, it really just, it was very pedestrian, and the dancers were walking across. There was one um, downstage who was standing there. He tied his shoe at one point, but it almost looked as if they were just walking down a street in the city. And I was watching, and I couldn't quite tell where it was going, and I thought at one point it was gonna like turn into a musical, but it didn't. It actually turned into something that I thought was more interesting and more cultural. What it looked like to me, the concept was kind of a dance battle, but not like a battle, like street dancers. They're on the street, they're living their lives out there, they are walking around with people, and then they begin to dance. They work with one another, they build off of one another, and that's what they did. And it was really refreshing. I know it was choreographed and all, but it didn't look like it. It looked like an improv. Like they really were building off of one another and dancing in the streets. And it was really, really captivating and exciting. The music also really helped with that. It was like pop-ish. It was funky and groovy, and I really liked it. I was dancing in my chair, which I think added just an extra level of captivating to it, because when we hear music that we like and that makes us want to dance, we gravitate towards it, and we gravitate towards people dancing to it because they're moving in a way that we all move. Now, I get it. They were breakdancing. I cannot breakdance. I cannot spin on my head. I can barely do a handstand. I can barely do a push-up, but they did it. They were spinning, they were moving, they were getting down. It really was structured like a dance battle, which I thought was really nice. But I also thought what added to the very pedestrian like was they were moving in straight pathways, which happens in real life when you look at a city like New York, which is what this sounded like, because it had at some point in the piece it had street sounds like cars and trucks, and it sounded like a light New York City. But when you look at New York City, it's on a grid system, so it's a square. Everything's in straight lines, and you just go. So them moving in straight lines really just added that extra level of it being real for me personally. But it's just because I spent time in New York, that's what I associated with it. Most of the actual dancing happened in the center, close to the center, which makes sense. Our attention is there. That's where our attention wants to be. And so it made it easy to have our attention there than pulling away from it, especially in this situation when it looks like you are building off of one another. You don't want to pull the attention. The costumes, they were dressed as people. They were dressed much like I am right now, which really added to the pedestrian and feeling that anybody can get up and do what they're doing. The comfortableness, how comfortable they were, and how comfortable it made us feel. It mostly because it was familiar. A lot of people experience this movement in real life. They don't go to a theater. They don't pay money to go to a theater to watch this. They experience it walking down the streets of New York City. So it was really, I don't know, it was really cool how even though it was in a theater, it had the feeling of it just being there for fun, them having fun, experimenting, finding stuff that makes them feel good, that feels good on them and makes them look good. It was fun and loose, and it appears unorganized, but it was actually quite organized, and many times there would be a trio or a duo, or it would appear like there would be two people over here and one person like slightly off from them doing what they're doing as if they were trying to figure it out. Yeah, so overall, I thought that the piece was very successful. I was very engaged the entire time. I personally had fun myself. Just hearing the music and watching them, I really just like got into it, had fun, enjoyed it a lot. So, thank you.